City Clerk, would you call the roll?
Alderman Fisk. Alderman Braithwaite. Alderman Nguyen. Alderman Wilson. Alderman Holmes by telephone. Alderman Tindem. Alderman Ravel. No. Alderman Rainey. Okay, that's.
City Clerk Green, I'm getting Alderman Holmes if you want to have her. Hold on a second.
Alderman Holmes is on the phone calling in from home tonight.
Alderman Holmes, are you there?
All right.
Alderman Holmes, A. Okay, so that's 7, 8.
We have a
7.
quorum. Welcome to the Monday, July 25th, 2016 meeting of the Evanston City Council. The first item on the agenda is Mayor's public announcements and proclamations. I do have an announcement. I will not be running for re-election. I have loved every minute of being mayor. Someone told me it's not possible to have loved every minute of it, but I have. Even the incredibly tragic moments with paying condolence calls. I have been honored to represent the city and incredibly impressed by the graciousness of mothers of young men who have recently been killed, and I have been touched by their kindness to me in their moment of incredible agony. So I'd like to thank Lorraine Morton for talking me into doing this job, which I certainly never thought of on my own. And I'd like to thank the city staff and the council. The council has always backed me on the things that have been important to me, and I thank you all. And I'd like to thank Lionel Jean-Baptiste, Colleen Burris, and Jane Grover. It is time for new adventures. This is not a farewell. I'm just saying it so that anyone who wants to run will have plenty of time to put a campaign together, and being mayor is a tremendously wonderful thing to do, so you all ought to think about it. We have plenty of work to do between now and May, so let's do the work we have to do. City Manager, do you have announcements? Don't get me teary-eyed. We've got plenty of time to work together still. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, good evening. Next week is National Night Out. We have a representative here from the police department, or several representatives here from the police department, so I will let them step forward and introduce themselves and tell you about what we have planned for next week.
Thank you. Greetings, Mayor Tisdall, City Manager Bobkowitz, City Clerk Green, and the City Council members. My name is Officer Howard, and alongside me is Officer Brooks, and we are here on behalf of the Evanston Police Department Community Strategies Unit. We are here before you to announce the events for National Night Out, which is scheduled for Tuesday, August 2nd from 7 to 11 p.m. Community members are invited to attend the celebration events taking place throughout the city in an effort to take a public stance against crime. Residents are also asked to turn on their front porch lights that evening as a display of unity. Participants can find materials such as banners, balloons, and T-shirts at natw.org. The registered events are as follows. The Evanston Public Library at 1703 Orrington from 7 to 9 p.m. The Science, Technology, Engineering, Art, and Math will be having activities outside the Church Street entrance. There will be a block party barbecue on the 1500 block of Washington hosted by the 1500 Washington neighbors. Brumwell Park Neighborhood Watch will be hosting a neighborhood walk along the Howard Street area at 7 p.m. Evanston Animal Shelter, located at 2310 Oakton, will also be having an event. Neighborhood meet and greet will be located at Church and Dodge. Movie in the Park at Penny Park, located at Lake and Ashland at 7 p.m. The movie begins at 8:15. Neighborhood meet and greet from 4:30 to 8 p.m. at Cartwright Park, located at 3300 Noy Street, and there will be food and drinks available. Hidden Park Neighborhood Watch will be having a meet and greet at Dobson Brumwell Park on Ashland between Dobson and Brumwell at 7 p.m. Smith Park Neighborhood Watch will be having a block party in the Smith Park located at Ashland and Lyons. Popsicles and treats will be provided. Thank you for your time. We look forward to seeing you all on August 2nd.
Thank you very much.
Madam Mayor, that concludes my announcements.
Thank you. I'd like to add to National Night Out that the White House has asked mayors across the country to please conduct conversations on race. In Evanston, we've already done that twice with town hall meetings. So we were discussing having National Night Out be a time when people will be together and could discuss issues of race, and I will have more information about doing that that will get out between now and National Night Out. I have a week, right, Wally?
You do,
Okay.
probably before that.
And City Manager, you're doing something about streaming that I didn't understand, but apparently I'm going to do it.
Yes, Mayor Tisdall is going to do a Facebook Live session on Friday. So for those who are into that sort of thing, Mayor Tisdall will be doing that live on Friday as part of we do a Friday update, which just last week we got 1,400 views of people. So they're very popular. So Madam Mayor, you're going to join the Facebook Live generation.
That's exciting. City Clerk, do you have any communications?
No, Madam Mayor, I have no announcements or communications this evening.
Thank you. All right, we're doing public comment before special orders of business on my agenda. So next is public comment. I'm going to call the first four names. You have 3 minutes each. And if a previous speaker has said what you are planning to say, you can just say you agree with the previous speaker. Debbie Wexel, Sheila Brand, Ann Bashuk Lerner, and Mike Drecker.
I'm Sheila Brand, so I'm supposed to be second.
Debbie Watson.
Debbie.
I was outside. I spoke earlier at the Administration and Public Works meeting, so I will be very brief. Debbie Weissel, I live at Evanston Terraces at Central and Bryant. I'm on the board for the golf course, and I'm on Homeowners Association. I just want to thank the council for considering the resolution to continue the parking agreement with Northwestern for home football games again this year, and we look forward to your support at the games and for the golf course to continue. Thank you very much. And Alderman Ravel has been very supportive, and I want to thank her for her help on this.
Thank you.
Hi, Sheila Brand. I'm here to discuss the new configuration on Dodge Avenue. I've lived in the same house for 48 years. You can tell by my gray hair. It was supposed to be my first house. It's my first and last, because I love Evanston. But I cannot remember the powers that be doing something that is so seemingly unintelligent as the new Dodge Avenue. The car lanes are now so very narrow, and more importantly, since the cars are away from the curb, more dangerous. Early in July, I had just turned south off of Main onto Dodge as a fire truck came out of Washington and turned north. There were cars completely blocking the east side of parked cars on the east side of the street. Fortunately, there were a few cars that were not, there were a few spaces. In order for the fire truck to get through, those of us that were in cars had to literally move into the parking area, or the fire truck could not have moved. If there had been cars parked there. I was shocked by this because there was the fire truck and there was us. So also, the fire truck was able to continue on its course. Also, in my opinion, and I've seen this, when there are parked cars all the way along and drivers need to make a right turn, a bicycler needs to make a right turn, if there are a lot of parked cars, there's really not much room for the driver to see that car because the cars are generally higher than the bicyclers. So that seems to be a big problem to me. I know we're a bike-friendly city, and I'm all for that, However, when it comes to safety, this does not seem to me well thought out. And I've spoken to many people in my neighborhood. There isn't one person that's happy. And on the way here, even tonight, going south on Dodge, there was cars going north. There was a car at the corner. The driver was out, standing out, and a bus was coming. Traffic stopped. There was no place for the bus to go until the driver got back in his car and started moving. This is twice in the 1 month that this has been going on. So I just don't get it. That's whoever created this kind of thing, it feels not well thought out. Plus which the lanes are now very narrow compared to what they were before. So we don't have flexibility. And they talked about bicyclers getting doored. Well, they can get doored on the right side from a passenger, and we can get doored from a parked car. A car can get doored from a parked car. So I just wanted to present this to you. There's many people who think this is a waste of time for me to come here today, or anybody to come, because those poles are just awful, and there's no place for the buses to stop now. They have to stop between the last pole and the corner, which means they're going to block the sidewalk, they're going to block driveways. It's just horrendous. And as I say, there's a lot of things I love about Evanston, some not so much, but this is the first time I have ever come forward to talk about something like this, because for us and the people that I talk to, it's just horrendous.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity.
My name is George Feeney. I live on Dodge Avenue, opposite James Park, and my wife and I have been there for 45 years. And over this period of time, I've seen the volume of traffic on Dodge Avenue to become terrible. I mean, it's just every year it's got worse and worse. We've got everything from garbage trucks to concrete delivery trucks to buses, school buses, and CTA. And this year, somebody came up with this idea of the bike path. Now, we already had painted bike paths before all this new configuration came up. And that seemed to be fine. I could see bicyclists going down there without any problem. Now, with the new configuration, they have moved the cars from this tight curb out to almost into the center of the road. They've taken away 2 lanes of traffic from Dodge Avenue. Dodge Avenue, in my opinion, is one of the busiest streets in Evanston. And more every year we get more and more traffic. With this new configuration of the bike path, it might be better for the bicyclists. I doubt it very much, because you have the doors of cars opening out almost to where the bike riders are riding. Bike riders have to be careful themselves. They have to watch out for themselves. We have gone to a lot of trouble to make it safe for the bicycles, but it's made it more difficult and more hazardous for people trying to board a bus, people trying to get into their car, people coming out of their cars. The doors are opening from the driver's side into heavily moving traffic and very fast traffic. So I just want to point out that this new configuration, in my opinion, is a waste of money and not helping the bicyclists that much. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for coming. All right. Anne Bashuk.
All right, my name is Ann Bashuk Liner. I've lived in Evanston since 1971, and I live on Darrow, right around the corner from Dodge. I will not be redundant, since everyone who has gone before me has, said the kinds of things that I would say. I will simply say I have not yet met any neighbor who has been able to say one positive word about this new configuration. It is indeed a menace to traffic, to drivers, to pedestrians, to emergency vehicles, and it is the hope of all of us that that there will be some consideration given to changing the construction, removing those pillars, changing the bike lanes, allowing cars to park as they had right alongside the curb, narrowing the bike lanes. Otherwise, I think that this is just simply an invitation for some very serious accidents waiting to happen. It's just this hasn't been in effect that long, but I think we have yet to see what will happen too when the kids start going back to school.
Thank you very much. Mike Decker? Leo Sherman? Okay. And Roger Huberger is next.
Good evening. I'm Leo Sherman. I live at the corner of Kirk and Dodge, right across from Dawes School in James Park. The city has not done its due diligence in the creation, design, and implementation of the Dodge Avenue bike lanes. It may seem attractive to use federal funds to pay the majority of the cost of the bike lanes, but the attractiveness of cost savings has been lost to the cost that has been assessed to the pedestrian and traffic safety and to the community's peace and quiet. The decision to install the bike lanes go back to September of 2014. The city staff proposed to enhance and widen the current bike lanes into a buffered lane in order to save 60 parking spaces from the encroachment of the current protected lanes. This council refused to acknowledge the concerns of the aldermen from the affected wards. They went ahead and proposed a plan without any public comment prior to their vote. That's a shame. The protected bike lanes are fabulous for high-speed biking. Bikers now travel 25 miles an hour faster behind rows of parked cars into cross streets where turning cars can't see them in the approach to their turns. The bike lanes are not consistent. South of Oakton, the lanes move from curbside into the traffic lane. Suddenly, bikers hidden by parked cars are merged into traffic at full speed. At the intersection, the bike lanes aren't marked, so bikers are combined with traffic without any protection from drivers. Having a consistent buffered bike lane would have made driver decision-making much simpler and made biking much safer. In front of Dawes School, the old bike lanes remain in the traffic lane and were not widened, nor were they marked in an additional fashion. I presume the school felt it was too dangerous to drop children off into a bike lane. But in front of James Park, immediately adjacent to the school, the bike lanes revert to curbside. Apparently, children out for sports and leisure don't require the same level of safety of those going to school. Drivers exiting their parked cars are now extremely close to the traffic lane. Traffic that typically moves at 75 miles an hour. It seems like it, but it's 35 miles an hour, except when there's a traffic jam. A neighbor who requires handicap parking is afraid every time she gets out of her car because she can't open her door wide enough to exit her car. Bus pullouts have been squeezed to the point that they've been virtually eliminated. Buses now just stop in the traffic lane. Now bus patrons just stand in the street to be visible to the bus. During rush hours, both sides of the streets are full of cars. There's no space for emergency vehicles to pass through. The garbage and tree debris is piling up because the streets haven't been swept since the installation. When the contractor removed the old bike lanes, the workers used a dry grind process that created dust-sized particles. These particles became airborne when the workers used gas-powered blowers, which are illegal in Evanston, to blow the paint and asphalt throughout the neighborhood. The contractor made no effort to collect this air pollutant, and since the streets weren't swept, that pollution is now in the sewers. And actually, I did call the city engineer that was in charge of the implementation and spoke to him and made note of that. Nothing changed after that episode.
I do need you to wrap up.
Okay, let's go to buffered lanes. If you spend another $200,000, then please, if you can't spend another $200,000, please slow the speed limit down to 25 miles an hour and enforce it. ban large trucks from Dodge, make it safer for bus passengers boarding and exiting the CTA, and please ask Northwestern's Traffic Institute for help. And finally, don't curse another neighborhood with protected bike lanes on an arterial street.
Thank you. Roger Huberger. And then Marianne Nagsky and Bonnie Kustner.
Hi. My topic is the 1815 Ridge proposed senior sheltered care facility. My name's Roger Huberger, and I'm president of the 1800 Ridge Condominium Association and its 60 members. I'm also a business owner with my office at 1822 Ridge for the last 8 years. I'm directly across from the proposed property. In 2009, the city plan placed a 66-foot, essentially a 6-story limit on the plot of land that's in discussion. Now, depending on how you calculate the bonuses for whether they're city benefits made or what have you, because they're going to pay for divvy bikes or put in one more tree than what was already in the Emerson Ridge plan, the property is somewhere between 2 stories and 6 stories too tall. It dwarfs the church, and it'll dwarf everything on our side of the street. And on our side of the street, we've known all along that, of course, something's going to go up that's going to block our view. I live on the 3rd floor. Okay, 66 feet, which was zoned, of course that's taller than 3rd floor. So we already knew we were going to lose our view. It's just a matter of whether or not this is the appropriate neighbor for that lot. Now, during the various hearings, we heard repeatedly about Evanston being landlocked. We heard about that you can't build because the lake is on the east and you have nowhere to go but up, and this property is a good one to go up on. I have a question. In 2009, when they did this comprehensive survey, the one that specified that tall buildings would go downtown and it would taper down to no more than 6 stories or 4 stories as you got to Ridge, wasn't the lake in the same place? It's not new information. So what was proposed and a lot of thought was put in 2009 still applies today, and there shouldn't be a variance to that plan. The recently requested, by the way, this is all just 4 minutes, so don't worry. The recently requested D4 zoning allows 84 units versus 163, which is proposed. If you include the staff and the visitors to this facility on a recurring basis, that's a 225% compared to what was zoned. The city itself, the city code does not allow sheltered care in D4 zoning, which has been requested. The Planning Commission, prior to their vote, I do not believe was fully aware of that particular note, that this was not allowed in that use, in that zone. Instead, it surfaced when our attorney and researcher went through the Illinois and the Evanston statutes, and I could quote you very specifically if you want. What may have been rationalized away because there was only going to be a little bit of assisted living has no bearing with the property we have now. Understand, originally the plan was 75% independent living and about 25% assisted and memory care. What we have today is 85 or 86% assisted living and memory care and only 14% independent living. It doesn't resemble what was brought to the Planning Commission months ago. It's the exact opposite. Now, per your own code, facilities that include personal care, such as assistance with daily living, has to be licensed as sheltered care.
I do need you to wrap up.
Okay, you have 2 paragraphs to go. What's proposed is 140 assisted and memory care residents, very likely in wheelchairs, walkers, requiring lots of assistance in the bathroom, dressing, showering, and the like, all of which, by the way, in an environment that has no doctor and not a nurse in sight. If you have an emergency, you need care, you're calling Evanston Fire Department 911 to take care of you. Okay. By comparison, the King Homes offers the same services and is licensed at the higher level of care, sheltered care, and it is not in a D4 zone. Aside from that, Their assisted care units start at $2,900 a month, which is 35 to 50%
I'm
less
sorry, you're way over the time.
than 1850 proposes. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Mary Ann Nagaski. I live at 221F Dodge. And so I would like to say, as you asked, that I agree with what everyone else said about the new bike lanes.
You are a fabulous public speaker. Thank you.
Okay, I will just add one thing, that I'm very concerned for my safety with the trying to get in and out of the car if I'm driving, or for visitors who come to visit with health and handicapping conditions. We need more time to be able to get in and out, and therefore there's lots of stress and anxiety with the new parking situation.
Thank you.
My name is Bonnie Kussner. I'm 321 Dodge. And as many in my community have so eloquently spoken, we are at risk. We feel that we are the taxpayers, we are the residents, we are the homeowners of Evanston. We feel marginalized and we feel disrespected. These lanes were dropped on us. Dodge is our street, our neighborhood. We live there every day, and we emerged from our homes to find the real estate right in front of us had changed. Getting in or out of your car is precarious. There are medically challenged people. I have neighbors with a hip replacement that cannot enter or exit their own vehicle without being in danger. Dodge is a speedway. There are commercial trucks. There are lawn service trucks with trailers swaying back and forth. There are pace buses. There are drivers zooming off to work. There are parents zooming to school. There are activities at JRC and all the other facilities up and down the street. We live there. You cannot get in or out of your car without being in danger of an accident happening on the left side, on the driver's side, and that includes drivers giving you the finger, honking, screaming, yelling, and on the other side is a bike lane. And these bikers, in whoever's mind that planned this, they're thinking perhaps Angela Lansbury on a bike with a basket? These people are pros. They've got professional equipment. They're dressed professionally. They go at professional speeds. And let me tell you, they curse professionally. You are sighing, I'm sorry. Do you have children? Do you have grandchildren? I have 6 grandchildren.
I'm sighing because I think it's off.
Thank you, I appreciate that. I have 6 grandchildren. My oldest is 7 years old. When you would pull up in front of Dodge, because it's a busy street, they would come right out onto the curb, onto the grass, and right into Grandma's house. I can't get my own grandchildren in and out of the car without a biker zooming around the corner on Mulford. I can look till I'm blue in the face. They move so fast. Bikers are up here. My kids are down here. It is a travesty. You have put us at risk. And we are telling you this because we are asking for you to do something. And that's why we're here. We're looking for relief. We feel that we are in trouble, and we feel, if you look at the faces of seniors here and of people that cannot zoom around and cannot move fast, that you've set us aside in the interests of bikers that I don't know who they are or where they live, but we're your people, and we're asking you for help.
And we're your people, and we're going to give you some.
I hope so.
We're going to discuss it. We just cannot, at public comments, get into a major discussion. Next is Floyd Perry, and a name scratched out, and then another name, Sandafaro, is in, and Robert Cannizzaro.
My name is Floyd Perry. I've lived in Evanston like about 40 years, and I'm here about the new bike lanes. And since they put these bike lanes in, I brought a piece of paper, but I'm not going to read from it. Everybody covered almost, I got to say. But this is waiting for an accident to happen. And I was on Dodge Avenue today. I was on my way home. And I'm driving down the street and I see this truck coming. And I'm saying, man, this is going to be close for me and this truck to pass one another. So there's actually on your right-hand side, there's these poles, there's cars. Okay, there's incoming traffic towards me. And I'm saying, now, if this guy have a flat, he going to kill me. So what I'm saying is, this is an issue. Because there's no way for you to go. You can't pull over for anybody. And like the lady was saying before about the fire truck, you can't get over. There's nowhere to get over to. So, I mean, if anybody lose control of their vehicle, then somebody's going to be hurt seriously. And I hope it's not me. And I know I've come around off of this street next over from Maine on to Dodge. And to make a right-hand turn to go into Dodge to go south. And as I come around the curve, the pole is there, so I got to swing out wide. So when I swing out wide, I'm going into the lane of the ongoing traffic. And so this is another problem that could happen where it'd be another accident. The streets, the yellow line on the streets, it's only about this much room between the oncoming car and the car that's going. So you got this. So if anything that go wrong there, yeah, it's an accident. So, I mean, I don't know who thought of this, but they need to change it, before something seriously happens. So that's about all I got to say. And then another thing, what's going to happen with all these poles in the street when it snows in the wintertime? Okay? So how is the snowplow going to clean the streets? I mean, you got these poles lying all up down the street.
City Manager, why don't you answer?
As we have with the other protected bike lanes we've had for the last several years, the poles are removed.
Yeah, but you don't have these poles going down Dodge Avenue. Well, you can't pull over and park.
No, but you asked about what happens with the poles in the wintertime. We remove them as we do the ones on Davis and Church.
Well, that's the first time I saw them.
Okay. They've been on Davis and Church for the last couple of years.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to read from our flyer, and the title of this flyer is about the bike lanes on Dodge Avenue. I and my wife have lived at 323 Dodge for since 1980. And there's a subtitle on here that says Dodge Avenue Speedway. And it goes like this. Traffic zooms down Dodge within a hair breadth of the driver's side door. On the passenger side, bikes blast by as if training for the Tour de France. Bike lanes are ill-conceived in concept and dangerous in execution. Yes, bike riders should have a safe path, but so should residents. This new bike lane traffic directive puts children, senior citizens, the disabled, and the medically challenged at risk. Before these bike lanes were plunked down with no neighborhood input, we could load children, unload groceries, and enjoy normal access to our cars from the curb. Now, we are trapped between speeding commercial traffic, trucks, delivery van, pace buses, SUVs, and cars on one side, and racing bike traffic on the other. Also, on the east side of between Kirk and Dodge, we lost about 5 parking spots. There's no more bus stop at Kirk and Dodge. And when I think other people have said this before, You open the car door, and it's right in the traffic. You open the passenger side, right in the back in the bike lane. So somebody, I hope it never happened, but it seems like somebody would get hurt before long. When I get out the car and I know this happened to everybody else, I got to do this toward my car so I won't get hit, or got to back out and go behind the car to be safe from one of those vehicles. They don't run there at 20 miles an hour, never did. They run there 35, 40, 45 miles an hour and Dodge. It's like a speedway. Now it's worse. So my suggestion is that the city of Evanston should go out there, send people out there for even just 1 hour and see the condition we are speaking about, that area where we live, and the 300 block. Very dangerous.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
for your attention.
I think before we hear anyone else on the bike lanes, you should know that we'll ask the city manager to please make this an agenda item at a future meeting and send city staff out to take a look at it. I'm sorry, sir, go ahead. Oh, thank you.
My name is Robert Canizaro. I'm a retired architect. I live at 1800 Ridge, and I've had the good fortune to address you before about the 1815 Ridge Oak project. In opposition to it, I spoke about it being a problem for our neighborhood. Tonight, I simply have a point for the council. I really think what's happening is not good for Evanston. The excessively favorable interpretations of the downtown plan, the zoning ordinance, and the inclusionary housing ordinance will encourage other developers to come to you and ask for the same excessive requests. And the result will be that your zoning ordinance and downtown plan will be ineffective. We won't have the kind of community that they were designed to accomplish by the developers. Quickly, the things that concern me is the building height that exceeds the 2009 downtown plan. The number of residences in the D4 zone is exceeded by 94%. The building use is not allowed in the D4 zone that they've requested. State definitions were used as an excuse to allow this, in spite of the Illinois Supreme Court's decision to allow the city regulations to trump the state definition. I'm also concerned that the parking required with the changes that have happened since it went to the Plan Commission are going to require a great deal more parking for medical and family visits. And the inclusionary housing ordinance is not being met in the number of units and the payments in lieu. So there's also a concern in this particular project, because the city is a party to the property purchase, that you keep and enforce your regulations carefully. I think you'd open yourself to some serious criticism. So I encourage each of you to vote against it tonight. And this, as it's currently configured, we hope to have a nice project across from our building in the next couple of years, but hopefully not this one.
Thank you. Next is Lisa Martinez, Michelle Coleman, Carla Sutton, and Sue Carlson.
Good evening. I'm Lisa Martinez. I'm a resident of Evanston for over 40 years and of our particular South Evanston home for 15 years. I'm here in support of our neighbors and friends regarding the bike lanes. I support pretty much everything they've said. And I especially wanted to bring to point that once school starts on August 24th, a large number of young children cross at Dodge and Kirk. And at that intersection point, the bike lane crisscrosses from protected to buffered zone. The bus stop is no longer at the side of the street, it's in the middle. And also, children are crossing at a very active point where traffic is coming out on Kirk, it's coming back into Kirk, and during rush hour, it's very, very busy there. So I think the problems we're seeing now will only increase when the school is back in session. And I would really, really appreciate that the city reevaluates the 2 and 3 and 400 block of Darrow as far as the bike lane. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good evening. My name is Michelle Coleman, and my husband and I, we reside at 212 Dodge, and I'm here to discuss again, the bike lane configuration. And one thing I agree with all the others that came forth with their displeasure. And one thing I do want to say that is troubling me, when I moved there, at least 25 years ago, I know I was on a main street. Didn't seem quite as bad as when I look out today and the way it's configured now. That traffic is so backed up, and you can't even hardly, even if you need to get a parking spot in front of your home, if you can't just pull in and have to wait to try to back in, people are honking, they're cussing at you because there's nowhere for them to even pull over to let you back in. And Mr. Manager, when you mentioned about moving the poles on Church and Davis, if I recollect, Church is one way going east, and Davis is one way going west. So you have traffic still just going one way. You don't have traffic now on Dodge going both north and south. And when I pull out of even my garage to try to enter on the street, I have to pull out so far in the street just to see, because the cars are up there where you can't see them, that I'm sorry that it just seems like it is an accident waiting to happen. But you know what the other main concern is? If I was looking to buy my little home today and I saw what I see, you know, what I see today and the traffic and so forth, I'm sorry, but I feel what has happened might devalue the listing of my home. And that concerns me. And so I'm hoping, yes, I'm a biker. My husband and I went out and bought 2 bikes. I didn't know they cost what they did today. So we also have an investment. But I'm sorry, what has happened now, I wish something could be done. So thank you very much, and hopefully we can resolve this.
Thank you.
Good evening, Carlos Sutton, 1821 Darrow. First, I want to commend all the people on the bike lanes. We addressed this issue 2 years ago, and the bikers told us our route on Dodge is directly connected from Lincoln Park to Kenosha, Wisconsin. And the intent is to cut down bicycle traffic in the cities, and you elderly people have to come to the 21st century. That's what they told us. So they brought it anyway. So thank you for coming tonight and expressing your concerns. Secondly, Mayor Tisdale, thank you for your contributions to the city of Evanston. I personally appreciate it.
Thank you.
And I want to thank you. But I'm here tonight to stand in opposition to Article P5, Ordinance 47016. I have 3 reasons for my opposition to your proposal this evening. 1, I'm opposed to the City Council taking action on item P5, Ordinance 47016. My opposition to this proposal is in 3 concerns. 1, I would ask you to remand this immediately to the Plan Commission, because which is presented to you tonight is a bait and switch to which we've been meeting with these developers for over a period of years and months. And it has nothing reflected that our concerns were contributed or changed to their plans. Number 2, The variance requested are completely a destruction to the community and quality of life of people who live in that community. Please do not grant a variance to zoning D4. It's the appropriate zoning for the extension of downtown Evanston North. And 3, the third thing that I'm very concerned about is the housing needs in Evanston. The rents are exorbitant. They do not meet the current needs of elderly people in Evanston. And secondly, and more important, we have tried to work with these people to get the kinds of things that concern us as property owners to prevent gentrification in our community. These things only expedite that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Sue Carlson. I too have been a resident of Evanston for a long time, and I'm here tonight to talk about, once again, affordable housing, and in regards to the 1815 Ridge, which approval I'm anticipating that you probably will grant this evening. I know you've heard many others saying that we need more affordable housing for seniors in this community, and this project is really not going to do much to meet that. It seems from the amounts that the developers have indicated they're going to charge that, in effect, what's going to happen is this is only going to add to the number of high-cost senior housing units that we already have available in our community. And I have 2 elements of concern to raise about these 2 issues. They've promised 2 affordable independent living units, but I'm troubled by 2 aspects of that component. First, will these units be just to and out, or will the city be monitoring the continuance of that component? If so, does that understanding need to be built into this ordinance? And I don't see that there. Second, with 2 independent living residents will the 2 independent living residents be able to transition to a higher level of care, which will be available in this building, but it will cost a lot more, and will the developer or will the prospective managers allow that person to have a higher level of care in this building? That's not addressed in this agreement, and my suspicion is they're going to be asked to leave. So I hope when that potential eligible resident is discussing entering this facility, that aspect will be made perfectly clear, both verbally, and which it'll probably be required to be in their written agreement. As to the high cost proposed for the living spaces in this development, I'm hoping that this development doesn't end up being a white elephant after all. When I looked at the proposed charges for these units, $49,000 a year for independent living, $60,000 a year for assisted living, and $84,000 a year for memory care units, they seemed high to me. According to an ARP survey, it's really where they're really out of place is in their memory care charges. They approach the cost of a semi-private room in a nursing home, $84,000. Yet the organization will provide a significantly lower level of service than a nursing home. Nursing homes are required to have 24-hour medical care available. This leads me to believe that it may be difficult to fill this building with residents who have, first of all, this level of available resources, and those who will fit the demographic around which it's being built. As to their choice of management team, however, it appears that the Ridgeline Senior Living is a respected organization, and I do hope that if you grant this project to go further, that they will make a go of this institution. I just question whether or not that's going to be feasible. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes citizen comment. City Manager, we have special orders of business.
Yes, Madam Mayor, members of the council, there are two items. First, the city attorney has a report that was requested by the council regarding changes to the concealed carry law in Illinois. Mr. City Attorney.
Yes, Madam Mayor, members of council, City Clerk Green, Grand Forks Corporation Council. In your memo is a packet that is responsive to an aldermanic reference that was requested regarding the overview and status of a recent Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals decision regarding concealed carry and constitutional issues regarding same. To recap, the Ninth Circuit is a U.S. Federal Circuit Court of Appeals that has jurisdiction on the West Coast. Here in Illinois, it is the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals. There are two conflicting decisions in play right now. There is the Ninth Circuit decision, the Peruta case, which is summarized in the memo, which dealt with a California state regulation and a holding by that court that there is no constitutional right to concealed carry. One of the differences in that case was it dealt with California state law, which provides, fortunately for municipalities in California, a much greater degree of latitude in the ability to restrict concealed carry applicants. This is in striking contrast to Illinois state law, which is very preemptive over local regulation and very proscriptive. In short, the Illinois State Police and the Illinois state government have responsibility for concealed carry and not the city of Evanston under current Illinois state law. What the California case was interesting in summarizing was its view that the issue of concealed carry is very unsettled as a constitutional matter of law, and it's strongly, in the most possibly strongly worded terms it could use, urged the United States Supreme Court to opine on this issue. So hopefully that will happen, and that all of these states, including Illinois, and all of the municipalities, including the city of Evanston, can get some clarity on whether or not there is a constitutional right under the Second Amendment to carry a concealed weapon. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Alderman Wilson.
I just want to thank you for putting the materials together, and yeah, we'll just stay on top of it and see what opportunities present themselves in the future. So thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, the second item, SP2, the mayor asked that we provide an update on the ordinance requiring restrictions on lawn sprinkling and other water uses. Dave Stonebeck, the director of our Public Works Agency, is here and has a brief staff report, and of course be happy to answer any questions.
Mr. Stonebeck, I don't mean to interrupt your report, but since I asked for this, the gentleman who was very upset about it could not be here tonight, and basically from your report, he needs to talk to his state representatives. Is that correct?
I don't believe that even the state representatives can change this. This is international law. So with Chicago's withdrawal of water from Lake Michigan is higher than just the state.
Okay. Well, you can go ahead and give the report, but the gentleman's not here, and so if you wanted to shorten it or whatever, I appreciate everything you put in writing, which solved his problems.
Okay, just real quickly, the Illinois Department of Natural Resources does have the ability to regulate how much water can be withdrawn from Lake Michigan, and they give each community a water allocation to withdraw water from Lake Michigan. The concerns are making sure that there's sufficient water for all communities in northern Illinois. The laws have been very successful, as you can see, in the amount of water taken from Lake Michigan over the past couple of years has decreased significantly. It's down to 872 million gallons a day. The city of Evanston was required to pass ordinances that state you can only water every other day per the IDNR and different time regulations. And that's the ordinance that Evanston passed, so we were in compliance with the IDNR required ordinance. That's our current ordinance.
And Madam Mayor, members of the council, I think as the staff report indicates, this is something that all communities in Illinois, all communities that take water from the Great Lakes are required to do. Certainly we're happy to continue to work with people. We do not have dedicated staff out every day looking to enforce this law, but at the same time, we want to be mindful of our water allocation of Lake Michigan water. And so this is certainly on the books along with many, many other laws of the city of Evanston, and we just want to make sure people are aware.
Thank you.
And unless there's other questions, that concludes the special orders.
Alderman Rainey, could we have the consent agenda, please?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Could I first just address one thing about the bike paths? I have met with Laura Biggs and Sat Nagar from our staff at the corner of Kirk and Dodge, and we stood there and watched, and I expressed many of the same concerns that the residents expressed tonight. It's a very, very unfortunate placement of that kind of bike lane. And I think in some cases we don't realize it until we implement it. And it's just terrifying. In order to avoid having your door ripped off by oncoming traffic, people are parking as far into the bike lane as they possibly can without parking into the bike lane. And so that causes more danger for the cyclist. So we have to look at this. It's very scary. So.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, the consent agenda is as follows. We're asking approval of the council meeting minutes of July 11. The Administration Public Works Committee met this evening and asked you to approve the payroll through July 10 of $3,177,783.49. The bills through July 26, $1,390,847.77. We ask your approval for equipment purchase with Monroe Truck Equipment to upfit, which I think it means to add to, fleet service truck for the Department of Administrative Services in the amount of $25,763. A one-year renewal agreement is requested with Professional Account Management, LLC, for parking ticket management and payment processing. In 2015, actual expenses were $319,809. The renewal price per ticket, 65.7 cents, which is a 10% reduction from the original contract in 2008. Your approval is requested for a 3-year agreement with Northwestern Football Parking on the Evanston-Wilmette Golf Course during home football games on holes 1, 2, 11, and 12. Northwestern has requested a minimum of 4-hour pregame parking as opposed to 3 hours in the past. We ask your approval for 3 special event permit requests from Rotary Club of Evanston, Citizens for Greener Evanston, and McGaw YMCA. City services provided for the event require 100% reimbursement for the sponsoring organization or event coordinator. Approval is requested for a first-time sidewalk cafe for Knockhorn Restaurant. It is a Type 1 located at 1622 Orrington Avenue. We ask you to approve a contract with A-Lamp Concrete Contractors for the 2016 Community Development Block Grant Street Resurfacing and SNAP Lighting Contract in the amount of $388,628. Funding will be provided by the CDBG funds with an additional $5,419.50 from GO bonds. Your approval of an agreement with Reliable and Associate Construction for the 2016 Church Street and Maple Avenue Garage Repair Project in the amount of $1,568,800. The agreement with Morton Salt Company for rock salt purchases is requested. It's a one-year contract to purchase up to 7,500 tons of rock salt from Morton Salt at a cost of $51.21 per ton for a winter season total of $384,075. We ask your approval for the city's electricity supply agreement for 23 city-owned facilities. We received the bids today, and Dynergy Energy Services is being recommended to receive a 3-year pricing agreement of 5.637 cents, per kilowatt hour. This price includes the alternate one, which is a Green E certified renewable energy credits from a wind-powered generator in Illinois or in the adjoining state. That is for approval tonight. Approval of change order number 2 for the water treatment plant roof and masonry improvements agreement with Garland DBS in the amount of $3,000. The increase will increase the total contract to $514,273 and includes an extension of 93 days to October 31, 2016. We ask that you authorize the city manager to execute professional services agreement. This is Resolution 56R16 with the James B. Moran Center for Certificate of Rehabilitation Program. It is for not less than 9 residents to secure certificates in an amount not to exceed $30,000. Resolution 57R16 authorizes the manager to submit a grant application for the Chi-Cal Rivers Fund administered by the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation. This is a one-time award of approximately $100,000 with a required 1-to-1 match provided by the City of Evanston. The Environmental Services Bureau will provide the match through maintenance labor and materials over the 2-year life cycle of the grant. This will not add to our operating budget. Resolution 49R16 is for action tonight and authorizes the manager to sign an amended agreement with IDOT to fund intersection improvements for Emerson Ridge Green Bay construction project. The agreement will obligate us to pay the Illinois Department of Transportation the local share cost of this project totaling $5,366,502 at the completion of the project. For action tonight is Resolution 48R16. We're asking you to authorize the city manager to enter into a 7-year parking lease agreement with 1571 Maple Avenue, LLC, at the city garage located at 1800 Maple Avenue for 101 parking spaces. The revenue will be placed in the parking fund. Ordinance 62016 is for introduction tonight, and this authorizes the manager to execute a 5-year lease agreement for property located at 860 Chicago Avenue for the city newsstand. This expires on December 31, 2021. For introduction tonight is Ordinance 85016, and that authorizes the city manager to execute a 5-year property lease with Enterprise Leasing of Chicago, 1810 Maple Avenue. Ordinance 33016 has been held in committee and will be addressed by the committee chair. Next is A11, Ordinance 66016, revising Title III, Chapter 17 regarding taxicabs and motor vehicles for hire, for introduction. Ordinance 87016, increasing the number of Class D licenses for the barn investment LLC, doing business as The Barn, from 56 to 57 licenses. Ordinance 88016, amending 346 licenses P3 of the City Code to allow for the sale of beer between the hours of 8 and 2 a.m. on any given day. This is for Dill Foods, doing business as the Shell gas station, 2494 Oakton. Ordinance 89016 is for action, increases the number of D licenses for E-Country, doing business as Union Squared, Evanston. This increases the licenses from 57 to 58, and the restaurant is located at 1307 Chicago Avenue. For action also is Ordinance 90016, decreasing the number of D licenses for Davis Street Fish Market, which has gone out of business and will not be applying for any further licenses. That is located at 501 Davis Street. For action tonight is 92016, which decreases the number of Class C1 licenses for Prairie Moon from 5 to 4 and decreases the number of Class C1 licenses. That is for action tonight. A17 is Ordinance 93016, increases the number of Class C licenses for Prairie Moon from 23 to 24. Prairie Moon is located at 1507 Sherman Avenue. Next, the Planning and Development Committee met this evening, and Ordinance 42016 is for introduction, grants major zoning relief for setbacks for outdoor storage units and reduction in open parking at 2020 Greenwood Street. Ordinance 95016 grants a special use for a craft brewery, North Shore Cider Company at 707 Howard Street. The committee recommended, in addition to introducing, suspending the rules and taking action on this tonight, and therefore I will move suspension of the rules and action on P2, Ordinance 95016. Ordinance 96016 grants a special use for a public utility and major zoning relief for landscaping and fencing at 1919 Church Street for the replacement of existing ComEd equipment. Alderman Holmes has requested suspension of the rules and, in addition to introduction, so that we can take action on this evening. I therefore move, in addition to introduction, suspension of the rules and action on item P3. Ordinance 49016 is for action and modifies the method of notice requirement provisions for planning and zoning cases. P5.
Could you remove that, Alderman Rainey?
I was just going to say that.
Sorry.
P5 is the plan development at 1815 Ridge and Oak, and that's off the consent agenda, will be addressed by the committee chair. The Rules Committee recommends Ordinance 77016, amending the City Code to merge the Housing and Homelessness Commission, Human Relations Commission, and the ADA Advisory Committee into the Housing, Homelessness, and Human Relations Commission. That's for action. For action also is Ordinance 81016, which amends the City Code to merge the Parks and Recreation Board and Citizens Advisory Committee on Public Place Names into the newly established Parks, Recreation, and Community Service Board. That is for action. Madam Mayor, that completes the consent agenda, and I move approval.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. City Clerk, would you call the roll?
Alderman Fisk. Alderman Braithwaite.
Aye.
Alderman Nguyen.
Aye.
Alderman Wilson.
Aye.
Alderman Tindem.
Aye.
Alderman Rainey.
Aye.
7.
Alderman Holmes.
Alderman Holmes on the phone.
Oh, on Alderman Holmes. Alderman Holmes.
Aye.
Thank you.
Very good, Dolores. That came across beautifully.
8-1.
8-0.
I mean, nothing, I'm sorry. Jeez.
Don't worry me. 7-0, Rodney. 7-0, the consent agenda is passed. Alderman Rainey, did you chair ANPW?
Yes, I did.
Could you walk us through that? Thank you.
Okay. Remind me which one we.
We have one item on ANPW 810 was held.
Okay. Oh, right. It wasn't taken. All right. We had a long discussion regarding the conditions surrounding the idea of benchmarking, and we asked for additional information, and we're going to keep it in committee.
Okay. Thank you. Alderman Wilson, did you chair P&D?
I did today.
Perfect.
And we have item P5, I think, is the one item off the consent agenda. P5 is ordinance 47016. The Plan Commission and staff are recommending adoption of ordinance 47016 for approval of the plan development with rezoning from C2 commercials to D4 downtown transition and a special use for independent and assisted living units. The 10-story 163-unit residential building would consist of 102 independent and assisted living dwelling units, 31 assisted living units for residents with cognitive impairment, 30 memory care units, and contain 67 parking spaces on site. The development includes one site development allowance for 102 dwelling units, where a maximum of 84 are allowed in the D4 zoning district. And this is for action. Move approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Does anyone want to speak to this? Alderman Fisk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I've been concerned about this development for some time, and there's a number of things that concern me about it. I do think it's too large. I do think it's shoehorned onto the site. I think it's too tall, although I appreciate the adjustments that have been made. But more than that, I think that we really need to think as a community about quality of life for people in a building like this. Our other senior buildings tend to have green space around them, especially for those residents who are less mobile, and I think we'll have less mobile residents. Even though there are independent living units in here, they'll be less mobile than they would be in other buildings. And I'm not sure that this is the type of building that I would want to live in. I mean, I'm searching for green space. I'm searching for a place to, like Mather or Three Crowns or Presbyterian Home, or King Home. I mean, places where you can really get out. You can sit outside. You can watch the world go by. You can garden. You can have a connection to your neighbors. And I haven't been able to get over the feeling that this is just the wrong development for this site. And I'd love to see this at 831 Emerson. I think it would be a lovely project there on a slightly larger site that would allow for some room around the building to and better proximity, I think, to a neighborhood. But I see this site as, for me, just too isolated. And I think we really need to think about, as more and more projects like this come along, what are really the amenities that we want to see. And I think we almost have to make a requirement for a public benefit for this type of use to be a greater area, to be able to be outside and hear the birds and dig in the ground and have a garden, and but just to enjoy. And I think of the buildings on Sheridan Road in Rogers Park, for example, that where they don't have any place around them except parking lots, but you'll always see wheelchairs and people lined up on the concrete porches of these buildings, just wanting to be outside. I don't think the little parklets involved in this particular development serve that purpose, and I just think that we as a community should do better for the folks who find themselves in these, needing this sort of living environment.
Thank you. Alderman Tandem.
Thank you. I wonder if our legal counsel can comment on Ms. Carlson's questions about the affordable housing units, how that would be made compliant over the years, that we wouldn't lose these units as affordable housing after one resident. I'm less certain, I guess, about the, well, you could tell me about the ongoing assisted living and progressing to that. But if you can shed any light on that, I'd like to know. I know that we don't have a compliance officer in housing. It's something we're working toward, but it's a very important aspect of this project, especially. I could see it getting lost.
Yes, Alderman Tandem, responsive to your question, as long as that development is up and operating, it must comply with the conditions of development. And I think that the compliance issue also can still be, while there's not a specific position in the budget or a specific position in the department, as the development evolves over time, city staff always has a role in seeing how that development grows and evolves over time. So the requirements for the affordable housing, it's in there. They must comply.
Okay. And any comment regarding the progressive care when someone would, if they would need to progress from that facility to assisted living? Is that something that could be accommodated, or does that go beyond any of our housing ordinance?
Well, I think that's a issue that may require further study and work with community development. I think that a lot of the issues that were brought to the table on that particular topic, as I sit here right now, I'm not capable of articulating a proper response. I need to get into the details of that further.
Ms. Thompson, did you want to speak to that? Or would you like to articulate a proper response?
Sure. As far as the assisted living part goes, in any of our independent living, when an individual progresses to need additional assistance, if they have to go to assisted living, that's really determined by the individuals who run the program. So it's always in the contract, and it really doesn't, even though they say they will work with an individual to keep them in the independent portion, that's a lot of times not the case, because when the health starts to deteriorate, they move them to the assisted living. What strikes me is if they have to move to the assisted living, of course there will be additional funds, and if they don't qualify for that, then they won't have anywhere to go, because we do not have supportive living, which would allow for Medicaid to pay for the same type of assistance, but in supportive living. So they would not have that option if they were having to move from independent to assisted.
Alderman Rainey.
But that goes for any setting, right? Not just for this one.
Not just for this one. That would be any.
Right. But I think we're missing the point here. I think what we heard the speaker say is, all right, there are going to be 2 affordable units set aside in the building. Let's say they move in when they are at whatever level. If they need to move, and this could be Mr. McLean answering this, if they need to progress or digress into another station, will they be allowed to stay as the 2 affordable set-asides in the next level of care?
And I think that's going to be a part of the contract. So whatever their contract reads, just like with any other assisted living, if their contract does not allow them for those 2 affordable units, because care could mean a lot of different things.
I know. But what I'm going to do is ask the developer, could we make that assurance tonight?
Let's see what Ann has him do.
Good evening. My name is Michael McLean. I'm the developer of the proposed project. When we applied, we were not required to follow
I understand that. You're doing this voluntarily, right.
And the discussion about affordability on this project has been going on for over a year. we actually applied to move a SLIF license, a supportive living license, which is a state subsidized license, which would have given us 100 assisted living units subsidized by the state to Evanston, and they denied us. In fact, they even threatened to take the license from the developer away completely because it hadn't been used in the manner in which it was originally given, and the state's pulling back on these things because of budget problems. This is not an apartment building. So we have the cost of a unit, but we also, in independent living, have 1 meal a day, housekeeping once a week, social and community services, a huge recreation floor, approximately 10,000 square feet. We have 5 outdoor spaces, which I can talk through, but including community gardens and balcony and large patios for the different users and the different categories of service. So we have offered as part of our community benefit to have 2 discounted units in the independent living.
At all times? You
At
will
all
keep it at all
times. At all times. So I believe it's a 35-year commitment for the inclusionary housing ordinance, or somewhere in line with that. That means we're discounting not just the rent to physically live in the unit and have your home there, but we're discounting all those services as well. So if we were to say, okay, that person can automatically now have 3 meals a day, daily assistance with baths, daily assistance with medication reminders, daily assistance or hourly assistance with all the things that come with the assisted living floors. We are now, what are we now to do on that level with the staff and the cost of the food and things like that?
Thank you. Alderman Braithwaite, did you want?
Follow-up question, because we've discussed this, and there was a tremendous amount of effort put towards the subsidized living. We were really excited when we first heard the news, and unfortunately it didn't work out just due to the state cuts. But we've also had conversations about different ways of making, again, that affordable is a complicated word just based on the number of services that seniors will receive. But what type of or can you make a statement to what will you do to help seniors who are interested in living there to make it affordable outside of the ordinance?
If I could bring Keely Raff up, she's with a management company, and she can speak towards that. I think most of the time this is an individual conversation with individual residents and their families when there isn't other aid available, and there isn't in Illinois, unfortunately.
Hi, I'm Keely Raff. I'm with Ridgeline Management Company, and that's a very common question. Seniors all over the country are looking for ways. So generally what happens is it just depends on the individual and what are available, but different options that exist for them are if somebody has long-term care insurance, that's been huge in our industry, and you're talking about moving from independent to assisted living to memory care. A lot of people now we're seeing invested years ago in those policies, and it's coming to fruition. So we're seeing a big part of that. You probably have heard about veterans aid and assistance. So that is also can be quite substantial for either the veteran. They only had to have 1 day of active service during wartime in order to qualify, and also for their spouses. So that has grown tremendously over the years and actually gotten a little bit easier through the red tape to sort of help people get through that. And many times we as a company don't get reimbursed for up to 8 months, but we're willing to have somebody move in while they go through the process to get those services. Other things that have happened are there's life settlement. Some people are looking at that, using their life insurance for what they need now for their care. Home equity, reverse mortgages. Many people look at that. There's bridge loans. There's companies called Life Care, Elder Life Financial that are credible, reputable, have a track record of helping people, and we've used all of those services. Medicare doesn't actually pay for rent and services, but helps, with other parts of care. So then families many times can kick in and help with rent. So, we really try to work with people. Again, senior living, everybody across the country needs help with senior living. So we have a lot of experience with that. We try to work with people one-on-one and look at their whole care piece. And I know I wasn't asked up here for this, but I do want to just say that we work with people through end of life. We take care of people all the way through hospice and end of life. That's our mission. That's what we're here to do. Are there always people who maybe have acute care issues that we're not able to serve? Absolutely, just like you said, but that happens anywhere, not just at this community. But our goal is to serve seniors, and the way they do work through the continuum of care, that's what we do. We partner with them. It's not a surprise. We do care plans as needed, and even on a regular basis, so that the family, the residents are all aware, and all these issues, from care level issues to financial issues, are a piece of them joining the family. I mean, this is about being a senior advocate and being of service. That's what we're there for. So all the issues that are brought up are legitimate, and there are programs in place to help with that. And I can answer any of that on an individual basis if you want, or afterwards, but I won't take up more time because I know you're a timekeeper. So, but does that answer your question relative to the financial piece?
It answers mine.
All
Yeah,
right,
thank you.
Alderman Tandem.
I think the other part of this, just a quick question or comment, actually. What the speaker had suggested to is being upfront about this potential.
Oh, absolutely.
And it seems like it would almost be benefit everyone to look for someone that maybe has a veteran's benefits that would keep someone in a position, because that could be very traumatic at a certain point.
Absolutely. We're a full disclosure company. I mean, there are no secrets. People are paying private pay for this. So, of course they're going to know, and it is in the contracts. And so if somebody's moving through a continuum, and when they do come to us, actually the consumers are very educated today. They actually come to us saying, do you know about this? Have you done this service? Can you help us work with this? But yes, part of our collateral and educational material is available. That's what we're there to do, is help them be able to live their life there.
What is the minimum age?
Well, boy, that's for assisted living on a national average, so I don't know in this area, on a national average is about 86. For independent, it's usually about 79 and a half, and memory care is right in there in the 86.
But as far as eligibility for your building, what is the...
We're not 62 plus, are we? We're 55, right? There's two different... Yeah, 55 plus.
Thank you.
Is there an average of, or just the average percentage of what a senior citizen with veteran status would receive just across the board? 20, 30?
Oh, no, I think it's, if you're the actual veteran yourself, I think the max that you can get, don't quote me on this, so if anybody's with VA, but I think the average is about $1,600 a month. I think the spouse is about $1,100. Now, some of that varies based on their ranking, the whole thing, and based on service, but that's kind of the average.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No, I see no lights for further discussion, so City Clerk, would you call the roll? Alderman Braithwaite.
Just because the issue was brought up, I just want to speak to the public benefits of this project really quick. And, well, it's important because we had over 7 meetings to discuss this, and I think it was a very respectful dialogue over the period of meetings, and just a couple of things that I wanted you to touch base on. The public art, the improvements around the area. We've also discussed interactions with the seniors, with both students, or the plans to have interactions with both ETHS Northwestern students. If you can just touch on that briefly. I realize that there isn't anything in place, but I think it's important to comment on that.
Yes, on the public benefits, the affordable housing piece is a big part of that. We've offered 2 independent living units, as well as $400,000 payment to the Affordable Housing Fund, which it can be used to offset expenses of seniors or others, however the fund is administered. We've also proposed to do significant streetscape and landscape improvements all the way from the train overpass, where the Green Bay Ridge Emerson redevelopment is going on now, down to the corner of Ridge and the current alley, across our own property for public way use, all the way down Oak, which doesn't currently have landscaping or a sidewalk, connecting it all the way to Church with improvements to the traffic signaling for pedestrians as well as crosswalks. We have proposed parklets, little pocket parks on the north and south side of our property at ground level for public benefit as well. We have proposed a donation to Divvy. We are providing public bike parking outside of our property as well.
Jobs.
Jobs, thank you. That's the big one. So the property is estimated to hold approximately 65 full-time employees in shifts varying from 8 to 10 all the way up to flex of 50. They are varying degrees of skill jobs and education level jobs, but they happen to be great training jobs and great upward mobility. We have pledged to hire from within Evanston first for all positions. So that would bring an additional 65 employees to downtown Evanston. We also have proposed to provide incentives and a transportation program per each employee to minimize the use of private vehicles to get to and from work. There was some discussion about providing train passes, but in our thinking, we realized that many of our Evanston residents live east and west of the trains and would not necessarily be coming north and south to the property. So that means we would customize plans for bicycles, for share cars, for carpools, for our own bus to pick them up, for bus passes and the like, which would better serve the purpose of eliminating the private vehicles.
Thank you, Alderman Rainey. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. The last piece is the community outreach. We feel that our property has the ability to bring seniors together, and we would like to reach out to the community to provide mentorship programs to our students at the high school, as well as have a connection between our seniors and Northwestern, bringing multiple aspects of our community and the reasons why we live, in Evanston and love Evanston so much. We feel that downtown is a perfect place for seniors to reside, whether or not they need assistance in their daily living.
Alderman Rainey.
Well, I wanted to compliment the developer on the extent to which they've gone to provide benefits for this community. And they've gone above and beyond anything required. They're not required to provide affordable units. They're not required to contribute to the Affordable Housing Fund. However, they have. And so in that, I really appreciate that. However, let's keep in mind who administers the Affordable Housing Fund. This developer is contributing $400,000 to the Affordable Housing Fund, which I've had huge issues on how it's being administered. This money could be used to help people in that building if we so choose. We just have to make the rules. We have the money. We are spending it for seminars and workshops, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think the time has come where we really ought to put this money to good use. And I think we should be grateful to this developer for giving us the $400,000. And it's in 2 payments, and it's going to be done within a year. So let's give some thought to that.
I think you should we'll vote and then make a referral.
You want to make a referral?
Yeah, I think to put it as an agenda item for a future meeting to take a look at the balance of the fund and how we administer it.
Sure. I mean,
All right.
not only that, but let's talk about those developers who do make the contribution.
Right.
How we can help at that building. I mean, there are some people who are putting units on site. There are some who are making the contribution. Perhaps we can help subsidize in some cases. But that's another discussion. So let's call a vote on this.
That's what I've been trying to do.
Sorry.
City Clerk, would you call the roll on Ordinance 47016, Plan Development at 1815 Ridge / Oak Avenue? It's P5.
Alderman Fisk.
No.
Alderman Braithwaite.
Aye.
Alderman Nguyen.
Aye.
Alderman Wilson.
Aye.
Alderman Holmes. Aye. Alderman Tindem.
Aye.
Alderman Rainey.
Aye.
That's 6-1.
6-1, the motion passes.
So the motion passes.
That concludes the agenda and takes us to call of the wards, beginning with Alderman Fisk.
No report.
What?
They suspended the rules on P2 and P3.
We suspended the rules and voted on it as part of the consent agenda. Alderman,
My mistake.
so I think we're good. Sorry. Alderman, what? We did both of those. We did both, P2 and P3. Sorry, Alderman Braithwaite.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just quickly want to, since our last meeting, congratulate the folks over at Valley Foods. This past weekend, they celebrated their year anniversary. The parking lot was full of a lot of residents taking advantage of the sales, and they had different vendors out throughout a very warm week, sharing food and a lot of happy faces. So congratulations to the owners and the staff.
And didn't they donate the money to the police and fire, or donate the food to the police and fire cook-off?
Yeah, so that was I think a week before they hosted and helped co-sponsor the Police and Fire Foundation's grill-off. And congratulations to the fire department. I think they won.
Did it again.
Did I get that correct?
They did it again.
They did it again. Thank you, Clerk Green.
They have an advantage. The police don't cook as much as the fire.
That's true. That's true. So.
Thank you, Alderman Nguyen.
No report.
Thank you, Alderman Wilson. Thank you, Alderman Tindem.
Thank you. I just wanted to remind residents that a 6th Ward meeting will be held this Thursday at 7 p.m. at 3 Crowns. There'll be a presentation by school board member, the incoming president of District 65 Board, Candace Chow, and Doug Holt from District 202. There'll be an update on the age-friendly task force and Commission on Aging, and there'll also be a presentation by Chief Eddington, an update on police and programs we have working with and throughout the community.
Thank you. My apologies, Alderman Holmes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just want to ask everyone to join us on next Tuesday for Nessa Night Out at Church of Dodge. It'll be a lot of fun.
I will be there. Thank you. Alderman Rainey.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I want to thank Chief Eddington for the fabulous report he did in response to questions from the community regarding the condition of policing in our community today. It was just answered so many questions that so many different people had that I'm extremely grateful. Second of all, I'm not extremely grateful for the bike lanes on Dodge. The minute I saw them, they are definitely a mistake. We were able to keep the new protected bike lanes off the 2 blocks from Dodge to Kirk, from Oakton to Kirk on Dodge, but the rest of it it's just horrendous. And I agree with every single comment, I believe, that was made tonight about those lanes. I don't know how they work in other neighborhoods, but on Dodge, it is absolutely a disaster. A bus picking up one person holds up one entire block to 2 blocks of traffic. It doesn't even appear safe for cyclists, although they say it is safe. I think the doors opening in the bike lane is going to be a tragedy at some point in time. So I'm looking forward to meeting with staff again to see if we can remedy the situation. I realize to undo it, it's going to cost a lot of money, but I think it's worth it.
Well, I'm also concerned that we do something before school starts.
Oh, it has to. You
Yeah.
have to. You just have to.
All right, thank you. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Congratulations, we're done before 10.
Unbelievable.